Hey, Tactical 40K here. I just want to give a status update because really I haven't gotten anything in, and it's been a while since I've done a video. But let me just give you an update. So last time I said we had some stuff on order that was coming in, and I didn't say what it was. But we're gonna just go in. I'll just tell you what it is, and then we'll go over it when I get in. So one, we're building that table. I've looked at buying just a table. Super expensive. Some of these tables that I really want, and they're like $400 or $500. It's one of the things when I went to the Lowe's or whatever to look for materials. Some of the material that I wanted to use has gone up in price significantly. Granted, after pricing tables, I can still build it for cheaper. But then they only had a couple left, and they weren't like in the best shape. So I had to wait. I have to wait till we get one of those in. But they gave me a chance to kind of do a little more design on the gaming table. It's going to take a while to get this thing together because once I get it all put together from materials from Lowe's, then we got to order the mats, which are probably going to go to like Frontline Gaming or something, and get some basic roll maps, and then also looking at various terrain features, buildings, and I'm looking all over the place, Etsy, everywhere. We're kind of pricing some things. I'm pricing some things out. I want to get various themes because we're going to do, like I said, we're building this list to be competitive in a 40K tournament, but two, when we get into more of the tactical perspective from the military side of doing like narrative stuff, we want to have those whatever towns or from various whatever planets or for Earth or whatever, ruined towns, more like Middle Eastern looking towns, more various aspects for it. We're gonna try to get various setups, but it's gonna take a little bit of time and it's a lot of money to do that kind of stuff. Okay, so what do I have ordered besides that table thing? We have coming this Friday. We have Schrike. So I've got my HQ slots filled. So I'll have my lieutenant. I'll have Schrike, which for, I guess I've talked about him before, but it's just like he's one of those guys, or at least for the Raven Guard, he's not a bad character really. He's all they got, but for named characters you can play, but he's not a bad character for the points. 135 points. The guy, is he the strongest character in the game? No, he's not. But he can move. He's got some good abilities. I think he's got a 14-inch move. Something like that. I got it right here. The guy he's good for 135 points, 6 wounds. He's got abilities like diving charge. After a model finishes his charge move, you can select one enemy model within engagement range and roll a d6 4+, suffers a mortal wound. I mean, he also has wing deliverance, where you can get units within 6 inches of this model. What is it? Oh, re-roll charge rolls. So if it's anybody with 6 inches, like I've talked about, having units complement other units when you get in here. So Schrike is going to be one of those guys. I'm probably going to have him with my Vanguard vets, because that's the other one, my elites, which I don't even know if we've gone over. But anyway, it's cat's out of the bag on that one if it hasn't been. But I have him with my Vanguard vets. If you fail a charge, you re-roll that thing. Plus there's some other sneaky stratagems you can use, but but that one's wing deliverance. That's kind of cool. Excuse me. So he has rights of battle too. So, and you're like, well, okay, units within 6 inches get a re-roll hit rolls, which that'll be good. That's a good tactic. But what it will also do, because what I've kind of changed on my list a little bit, and I guess I'll go into that since we're here. Let me clear my throat real quick. But with my infiltrators, which I have 2 of those in my troops, I'm going to finish my troop slots within Cursor Squad. With comms arrays, we can utilize some of these aura abilities, one of those being Rights of Battle. Makes the infiltrators a little more shooty. Couple that with the lieutenants, you can reroll ones, failed hit rolls of 1 and failed wound rolls of 1. So you're re-rolling ones, pretty much. So, I mean, it just complements him a little bit more for 5 points. 5 points a squad. So why not? So, I mean, this dude, he's got a few other things. But anyway, yeah, 14-inch moves, 6 attacks, 6 wounds. He's got the blackout pistol, which is strength 4, AP 2, damage 2, 6 on a 6 mortal wound. I mean, not bad. Raven Talons. I would like, those, they're called like Ebon Claws or whatnot. That's something you can put on a character. They're like a relic for Raven Guard. It'd be nice to be able to kind of see what those compare to that. But anyway, I mean, you can re-roll wounds with that, just like you do on other claws. But it's cool, and he's just a cool character. So I mean, for 135 points, not bad. And we'll see what he can do. So we got him ordered. He just complements the Raven Guard army. I tried to build like a captain that would have been, a little bit a chapter master captain. It would be a little bit, I guess, more to him, more gravitas. But it just for the points, you're above the Schrike model. So I was like, well, let's just get Schrike because he seems cool. We'll just load out the lieutenant, the Phobos lieutenant, a little bit more. Rock that. But anyway, so what we're doing here. So we got the incursors, the troop, infiltrator squads. They're primarily, going to be our guys to get out there and hit our secondary objectives. Because, what I'm looking at, I've just to get into this a little deeper, I've been studying a lot of these other armies and what we can do to build a list. And it's going to take time, but I realize that, because depending on who you're facing, I'm going to start with this list and we're going to have to change it eventually because we're going to have to see what happens out in the field here. Or in the field, what I mean by in tournament or league play or whatever we find around here. But anyway, so we're running with those guys, to score points. Like I said, there's going to be, we call a main effort that's going to be run up there. But I'm tailing on this list because at first I was like, well, let's just get, what can I use to kill things? But that's not how this game is played anymore. So what we have to do, and let's face it, Raven Guard, excuse me, in a lot of the Space Marine chapters, just don't have it. I'm watching these tournaments, I'm watching these guys play, and I'm listening to some of these stratagems and some of these abilities that some of these other armies have, and just some of the characters and some of these units, and I'm like, dude, they are head and shoulders above a lot of what the Space Marine chapters have, especially Raven Guard. And I keep watching these guys rank these things, and Raven Guard is consistently in the bottom, at least. I mean, one guy tried to put him up in like, I guess, a mid-tier level within the Space Marines, just because there is some things you can do with them, but it looked like, I think Imperial Fists are the only ones who were ranked worse for a lot of people. But anyway, they're consistently at the bottom. Haven't seen anybody, excuse me, I've seen one tournament with a guy with the Raven Guard army, and he's playing a team tournament with somebody. So he had some other army complimenting him. I haven't seen too many people trying it, and it just looks like they're falling out of favor. So what do? Well, one, the Raven Guard are kind of cool. I wish the Games Workshop, whenever they revise the supplement, or however they're going to do it with a new Space Marine book, they kind of tailor some rules to the lore of Raven Guard and what they're supposed to be about. But if they don't, oh well, we're going to operate the way we're going to operate. We're going to try to build around it. So like I said, we're going to have a main effort. We're basically going to have these scoring units that are up there, and we're going to have some real solid units that are going to, draw fire, that are going to hold areas, maybe objectives, while these scoring units. So we're going to have a lot of fast units. We're going to have a lot of infiltration. Like I said, we've got infiltrators, incursors, we got some stratagems and some warlord traits that are going to aid us in this kind of stuff. We have some, so originally I just had one fast attack unit of suppressors. Now that's the other thing I have coming in. We're going to have some inceptors. They're toughness 5, and you get quite a few rounds down range, and they move fairly well. So we're going to do that. And of course, most people run them with plasmas, which I would love to, but the points, I'm trying to minimize the points, so I'm just going to get straight auto bolters, which is, they're going to throw some fire out there, but it's not going to be like overwhelming. So with that regard, what we're doing too, I think I've talked about my eliminators and my heavy support. So what I did there is I actually took an eliminator squad away. So we're going to run 2 eliminator squads now at the moment, and I'm throwing in what most people would have already probably told me to throw in, which would be an eradicator squad. And with some of the other points, we're bumping those up with the heavy meltas. So we're gonna have some not only do you, if you remember, I don't know if I've gone over my elites yet. I can't remember. I didn't even look at the videos, but I have a Centurions with Meltas as well, and then we're running the Eliminators with Meltas. And there's some things you can do with Raven Guard stratagems you can't do with the Centurions, but you can do with the Eradicators. Couple that with some of the other stuff that we're going to possibly be able to do with the like Vanguard vets and a Terminator Squad with I think we got homers on, or do we have did I put that on there? Teleport Homer. Oh yeah, so we got those on there, so we can move around a Terminator Squad around. So it all depends on the enemy that we're facing, but I'm trying to get enough units that are sneaky beaky, like Raven Guard's supposed to be able to move around, be able to take them off the board, place them somewhere else, be able to infiltrate, be able to go, because one of the secondary strategies which I don't have pulled up right now, it's like, well, you can go there if you're not familiar with Raven Guard, they can set traps on objectives. So one of the things they can do is do that. Well, now that's one of their secondary objectives when they go there to set these traps. They score points, and then once an enemy comes on there, they blow. You get I think it's like maybe maybe it's a D6 mortal wound. I can't remember, but it's something like they get a few mortal wounds. I know it's like at least 3. So those are, you want to go out there, you want to get those points, you want to set those booby traps, you want to move, fire, you want to get in close, and you want to, take out what you can. You're definitely not going to be targeting the biggest, baddest unit on the board, that's for sure. We're evading and we're maneuvering and we're setting those traps, we're hitting those objectives. Some of my units are going to be holding objectives, and yeah, they might be taking on those units. They're sucking fire in, and hopefully with less skilled players, they will target some of these units that just look bigger and badder. So we have some units there that they can suck some fire, and they're there to draw fire while we use these other units to go and score those valuable points. And will it work out? I don't know. Raven Guard, from what I've seen, it's 1 or 2 turns, and you better have things squared away. Like those 2 turns dictate. Granted, that's pretty much the name of the game anyway for a lot of the Space Marine chapters. Like, you got to set that tempo in the first couple of chapters, unless you're like a Salamander, it's very defensive. But you and with a good stratagem. But with the Raven Guard, that first and second turn, you need to be there, otherwise you're going to be fighting these guys. You got to set the tempo for the enemy to follow. You go out there and get these objectives, set those charges on there, and then play the other game, tying these guys up, and hopefully you can hold them off for a few rounds and score those points. But so what I've come to the conclusion, we're gonna have a main effort, so we're gonna have scoring units, and then units that are there to interdict the enemy, and then units that are there simply to hold terrain. So anyway, the big major change there is my fast attack interceptor squad, and then changing out an Eliminator Squad for Eradicators. That's my list. Now, is that what the units I have right now? No. Like I said, I've got some on order. We got Schrike coming in on Friday, and then we'll have hopefully the interceptors and our incursors. So at least we'll have all of our HQ slots kind of filled, and then with the incursors we'll have all of our troop slots, and then when we start getting in those Eradicators, will be almost all of our heavy support filled, and we'll definitely have all of our fast attack filled. So then we'll just be waiting until I can order some of the elites, which I guess I'll just throw that out there if I haven't. I got 2 Vanguard vet squads that they have. I'll just go through it because they're all the same. I did 2 similar exact replica squads, so they're Lightning Claw Storm Shield, and then with a sergeant that has a Storm Shield and a Thunder Hammer. I threw the Thunder Hammer in there just for a little bit of oomph. Granted, it's only 1, but I was like, for the keeping it at 2,000 points. So I just threw 1. Each of the sergeants have it. So there's 2 identical Vanguard vet squads that anybody knows right now. The Vanguard vets are a superb unit. With Raven Guard, they're like a necessity. They're the Beaky Boys top unit in my opinion. Or I don't know if they're top, but they're one of the top. And they're just what you think about when you have this is a quick attack. These guys can, they have, I think it's death from above or whatever that one is, where they can sit up in the sky and they're pretty much in the reserves and come in. And with thunder, with a thunder hammer and then the lightning claws, I mean, they're excellent melee, so we'll tie some people up. With that storm shield, that is very powerful. Now you're looking at, I'll just pull it up right here, just so, because right now, I'm having signs anyway with the storm shield. Now you got a 4+ invul, also a 2+ armor save. How can you beat that? You just, with that, I don't know. For a Space Marine army, I'm just sitting here like, that's good to go for 100 and whatever, 50 points, I think. Yeah, so it's not bad. So then next thing, I got Terminator Squad. And I've been going back and forth on these guys when it comes to Terminator Squad. One, they got a 5+ invul, put the teleport homer on them. But I was going back and forth, so I gave them all Chain Fist. And there's a methodology behind that, and I think it just had to do with melee damage and being, talking about like a strength 8, AP -4 with a D3 damage, and then you get a little more capability with vehicles. I was going, points wise, I wanted to put the missile launcher on one of them, but it just wasn't working out, just for some more so I went with the assault cannon, which what it does, I guess, in my opinion, it's volume of fire. So with these guys, they're not as, they have a toughness 4 as opposed to like a Centurions with a toughness 5. So these guys, they're meant to hold ground and put down volumes of fire, get close, and hopefully if there's vehicles or anything like that, we chain fist the heck out of them. From there, here's the other thing. So I don't know, I have a company champion in there. The champion for 70 points, if you look at him, you can make that dude like one of the baddest melee dudes that I've seen. He's awesome. With a combat shield and with Iron Resolve, and he's got martial superiority, skill for parry, honor of death. This guy's got 5 attacks, 4. The guy with the Blade of Triumph, strength. What is it? That'd be a strength 8, -3 AP, damage 3. I mean, the guy's all time, in my opinion, when you talk about characters and on this chapter. It was either that or I could have got a Judicar. But for Judicars are like 85 points, and they're not necessarily, I didn't think they had the same capabilities. I think you get like 1 less attack and maybe like 1 more, I can't even remember. But when I was looking at them, I was comparing them, I was like, this is not this. I'd rather have the champion. I save 15 points and I can load him up with some stuff. And the dude is just, he's just going to kick some butt or at least draw some fire. So one, I got to find a good company champion or for a reasonable price, or I was gonna kind of splice one together. I was thinking about even I had an opportunity to get a Judicar for not that much money. I was thinking about like taking him, maybe taking the little thing off and like putting a shield on there, making him a champion. I don't know if that'd fly, but so I'm looking around for something that's more, thinking about maybe modifying a Blade Guard veteran or something. I mean, we'll see what happens when we get to that point. I haven't got any of those. But then, okay, so we got 2 more units in the elites. Centurion Assault Squad. That enough said with those guys. Those guys are just real tough to get killed. And they put out some real damage. Oops, I just did something. I just axed them. On my chart, I just deleted them. But anyway, I put them with melt-a-guns. Granted, they're just, pretty short range firing, but you just get up close, maybe you get a shot off, then you get in and you start pounding, and then you can take some fire. So they're just one of those units. The other thing I got is with them, which is pretty standard in 40k, where I've seen a lot of guys run with these Centurions, you throw an apothecary around with them, which I was debating on where to put that apothecary with some of these units, especially with Raven Guard. Maybe put it with a different unit, or it's like maybe throw them on a bike and put them, put them around with the guys that are going up the board. But I might just keep them in that center with these other units and with a Centurion. But you give them Chief Apothecary, you give him here a Selfless Healer, and he's good to go. So Apothecary and with those Centurions, and you're not looking too shabby. That's pretty much my list starting off. So I'll gather that. We're going to build this table. But we'll put this list together. We'll kind of maybe go through some wargaming on a board. Probably do a video on that, and then we might take this into town and see if we can find an opponent, kind of iron out a few things with this list and see how it works in operation. I mean, I'm hopeful, but I have a feeling we're gonna have to adjust a little bit, because once and like I said, all plans, no matter how sophisticated they are, how good they are, they usually go out the window at the first shot. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, like, subscribe. I'll talk to you later. Tactical 40K. Bye.